So we are going to be looking at the best fighting games of all time, and I would say the greatest as well. Now, this is not going to be chronological order. This is not going to be ranking from worst to best. This is just a list of the greatest fighting games of all time. So we're going to kick things off with Garo, Mark of the Wolves. I personally love this game a lot. This game definitely evaluates how how it came to its own as a fighting game. I honestly think it took a risk in some of the characters that were included, but they do reminisce of the old characters from the Fatal Fury series, as it's supposed to be the future of it. So you could say this is the third strike of Fatal Fury. But honestly, what I love about it is the mechanics in the game, and some of the characters in this are very, very good, including Marco Rodriguez, Terry Bogard, although they moved the Rising Tackle, which is sad. But Rock Howard in this game, even though he's not the best, but I do think he's pretty good to play with. But I personally have a personal favorite, which is, I said, Marco Rodriguez. But the way they really panned out some of the structure of the game and how it's just made as it is today just understands how this should be remembered as one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Moving on from there, we have Street Fighter 3, Third Strike. I mean, this game, honestly, people play it to this day, and rightly so. I had some moments about Street Fighter 3 series because the series was about to die. If it wasn't for the other games like Second Impact and Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 would have been dead completely if they just released a new generation. And after finding out what they needed to do in order to make the game worthwhile, they finally did it. They added another character, the return of Chun-Li, obviously. They've added new characters like Makoto, Q, and obviously they have a lot of people that are from the Street Fighter 3 series that really made it shine in its own light. I loved the EX design that they did, the EX moves that they produced, that they really knocked this one out the park. And this will forever be a classic game, but it's not a Street Fighter game. It's not a Street Fighter game. It doesn't feel like it either way. It's not like Street Fighter 2, but it's very different in its own way, and that's why I think this is one of the best fighting games ever. Moving on from there, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. In fact, I think this is one of the strongest rosters that Capcom have ever produced. In fact, it shows variety. They've not just done Street Fighter alone, they've just done different Capcom games that we all know and remember. And honestly, I think this is my favorite crossover ever. And I do have Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the list, which is coming. But this, to me, is what Capcom should do if they were to do Capcom vs. SNK. They should have a different characters on the roster instead of just making it like SNK versus Street Fighter or something like that. But honestly, the characters and the crossovers in here is amazing. The mechanics is fantastic. The game speed is amazing. I don't really know anything else that I could say about this that is so bad about it. I don't think it's horrible. It's definitely worth trying it out if you've never played it before. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. You should go and try it out. Following up, we have Capcom vs. SNK 2. I have an amazing memory of this game. In fact, some of the mechanics in terms of the special moves and the different fighting styles that they added, they've definitely taken some inspirations from Street Fighter Alpha 3. But what was interesting is that you can actually add your own style of fighting with different moves and different special moves and gear charges from the SNK fighting games that we've played, from King of Fighters or Fatal Fury, different things like that. Basically, it's literally some of the mechanics from Street Fighter Alpha and King of Fighters, which is what makes the crossover so good. And honestly, I think my favorite rosters, the SNK rosters, because all the fighters are different. They're from different video games. Capcom, even though I found a bit of it to be one-dimensional, but I still think that this is a good, really good, memorable roster here and there, even if I wanted them to expand a bit more from the Capcom games. But regardless, this is one of the best crossovers again. And yeah, moving on from there, Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge. I personally don't think this gets a lot of credit for it as it should deserve its credit, because even though what's crazy is that some of the developments on this one is actually insane, and personally I think that when it comes to these developments, it's really cool to hear about how they did it and what makes this game so special. Most of the characters in here are used of 128 megabytes used in Vampire Slayers as well, so it's around 500 extra patterns for each character, which is crazy. But I personally think that this mechanics in this game, the character design in this game, the presentation in this game is very fantastic. I love the color schemes on it. I do love what they brought to the table with the EX specials and the special guards, and the ES specials are definitely worth the while as well. So yeah, this game is so much fun. I mean, the chain combos in this game was fantastic too, and I definitely think you guys should check it out as well. This is one of my favorite 2D fighting games ever to be made, and yeah, it's disappointing that they didn't actually include this, made another version of this game, unfortunately, because it didn't sell so well, but it will be remembered as one of the best fighting games of all time in my opinion. But yeah, we have Soul Calibur 2 as the next one. I personally think that Soul Calibur 2 is one of my favorites of the Soul Calibur season. I literally have remembered how much I really enjoyed these environments in these stages of Soul Calibur 2, but also the characters as well, with the special guests of Heihachi in this as well, obviously, because Soul Calibur has modes that Tekken have, like the team battle versus battle. Obviously it's different with time attacks, and there's extras, survival, practice. But to me, I definitely love what they have done that made it so different to some of the fighting games and held its own as Soul Calibur 2. The steps and avoid systems do work pretty well. The ring outs is definitely an inspiration from Virtua Fighter, of course, but the rendering in this one just seems like it took me off the moon with this one. I definitely thought it was one of my favorites for sure, but there's also profile viewers you can watch and battle theaters that you can watch as well. You can watch computers v computers, and also to read about the character's story as well, which is what made it more compelling for me. But also extra weapons and unlocking stages is great too, so that's why I think this is one of my favorites of all time. So yeah, then we have Virtua Fighter 2. There's not much I can say about this game in terms of how fantastic it is. I think it really definitely holds its own, and it really improves massively in terms of the rendering and the game speed, alongside being the best traditional fighting stage and fighting game that I've ever played. And this was going toe to toe with Tekken as well, as Harada dreamed of beating Virtua Fighter very soon with his next game. But obviously Virtua Fighter 2, I still prefer this over Tekken 1 and 2. That's why I never see myself coming back to Tekken 1 and 2 as much. Virtua Fighter 2 literally stands on its own as one of the inspirational fighting games in the 3D franchise as well. So that's why I think it's amazing to see that happening to this day and people still play it. It's a lot of fun, but it's still great, and that's why I think it's the best. Street Fighter Alpha 2. Yeah, Street Fighter Alpha 2 was amazing. They introduced a lot of things for the first time, especially with the guard charge when it comes to special moves, and then they also added some free level 3s as well, level 2s and level 1s special moves as well to it. So the bigger the level, the bigger the damage, of course, and adding some Final Fight characters as well, such as Guy obviously and Relento. That was a good addition too. I think that was a surprise that I did not see coming, and I even loved some of the gameplay mechanics in other parts of this game that made it so much fun and enjoyable and more memorable as a game as well. So personally, this is one of my favorite Street Fighter Alpha trilogies and one of the best Street Fighter Alpha games that I've played so far. And honestly, if you haven't tried the Street Fighter Alpha trilogies, I recommend them. All three of them are good, but Street Fighter Alpha 2 stands out on its own for a reason. So yeah, then we've got the best of the best. I love this game, Tekken 3. This game is definitely took a toll on Virtua Fighter. It literally made Virtua Fighter 3 so uncool to play, And Virtua Fighter 3 is my least favorite Virtua Fighter game, but Tekken 3 literally made it so much copies of it, and rightly so, because this game included sidesteps for the first time. They've included a lot of broken characters in the game for sure. They've included a lot of new characters that are from the Tekken season and made them way more cooler. Obviously, Jin Kazama is one of the favorites, and also adding another unserious moments like Tekken Ball, and also some fun ones like Tekken Force. That game mode was so ahead of its time, even though I had problems with it, but it's so ahead of its time that it just makes it so much more memorable to play. And I definitely think that there's nothing you can say or do that can make me come away from this thinking there's some issues with Tekken 3. I mean, yes, there's some broken characters and there's some hell sweeps like Jin, his hell sweep is so safe for some reason, but honestly, this is one of the best intros, best musics, best fighting games that I've ever played to this day. So, Tekken 3, classic. Something new here, but real bout. Fatal Fury 2, the newcomers. Yeah, I just love the character designs in Fatal Fury 2, and I do love the hyper energetic intro to the game. It's so much fun, and also the combo systems in this one is fantastic. And either way, I think that this was one of my favorites out of the season, alongside Garo Mark of the Wolves. But Fatal Fury 2, the newcomers, held its own, and why it should be recognized as one of the best 2D games in the SNK franchise. But you know, obviously there's another game that I'm gonna say from the SNK franchise, but this is fantastic and it's a lot of fun. But this is definitely worth the while, so check it out. Street Fighter 2 EX Plus. This game is a lot of fun. I definitely think this is worth a visit if you've never played Street Fighter EX. Street Fighter EX was definitely one of the fighting games that I didn't see coming at the time when it was released, but I also thought that this game had amazing mechanics such as the guard cancels, especially the unbreakables, where you can basically do punch and kick and honestly break the opponent's guard, which then leads you to open up to making more combos. And also you can do the supers once every time, so then you can gain more combos and more points in the game too. So it's definitely worth playing this game. And obviously Fighting Layer did come out after this game, but obviously Arika and Capcom did a great job collaborating with this game and made it more enjoyable. I personally think that this is one of my favorite EX games to play, but I do love EX Plus Alpha massively, and mainly because of the way they've really done the artwork on it, the character design, the theme tunes on some of the stages as well was just goes off, man. It's just this Street Fighter EX original soundtracks are the best, and that's why I think, you know, this is worth revisiting. So check it out. We have King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match. I honestly think the Ultimate Match was this big step up from the Dream Match that they released originally. I definitely think that the team against team battle, it was definitely worth the watch as well. I think this is where I felt like some of the mechanics on this game was definitely holding its own, and I definitely loved some of the animation in this one too. It's definitely a lot to grasp, and definitely think that this was a great game to play. So I would recommend trying this out yourself, seeing how you feel. Yeah. Marvel vs. Capcom 3. What more can I say? I feel like, yes, there are some things that they have stuck with in terms of what the game is represented, but for me, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it definitely feels like an upgrade from the previous game, but I still enjoy the second Marvel vs. Capcom, but the third one does take the cake for me. And if you have not seen some of the mods in this one, then I recommend it, because they've done the mods on this and it's fantastic. That's why it always comes back every single time. And even though I gotta love some of the characters in this game, they're fantastic and great. and you know what? They've really knocked this one out of the park. Stuff like character assist special moves and hyper combos and lifeguards and all of that they've added is just fantastic, and yeah, I love it. I recommend it. Also, moving on from there, we have King of Fighters 2002 Ultimate Match. Again, another Ultimate Match trilogy here for King of Fighters. I mean, this one definitely is new visual layouts, new game balance, new special moves, and the artwork on some of these. I mean, the artwork can be a bit hit and miss for me, but some of them. But I think that they are really pushing the limits on this one for sure, and it's definitely standing out as well as this. I mean, they've definitely now made it into a new ultimate match where you can play online against people, but this is fantastic. They've definitely included new special moves, which made it more fun and more intriguing to watch, and yeah, it can be a bit difficult to make, but still is a very great ultimate match that I've been playing so far, and that's why I think this game specifically deserves its flowers. But yeah, this definitely has so many characters in there, so many. Apparently they banned some of the characters that are in the extra boss ones because they're so cheap and they are so cheesy to the point where their special moves and their combos definitely align with each other. You just can't really defeat them, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's why I think this is a fantastic game. Then we have Street Fighter 2. This game as a whole, a massive difference between the first one and the second one. There included 8 new fighters in the game. Many versions have been played. Obviously they've done so many versions where you can play the game at fast pace, you can play the game with new challenges, you can play the game with another new boss that comes out, like Akuma for example. And for sure they did include parts of it where I think that they can include 4 of the Shadowlone challengers. At the time you weren't able to play them, but when you played the Champion Edition you can obviously play 12 fighters now, which is great. I do definitely think this influenced many fighting games to have the same lookalikes, as you see Virtual Fighter having lookalikes of Akira looking like Ryu obviously, and Pai looking like Chun-Li, or Jack looking like this and that. Like it's definitely influenced many games to have some fighting characters that we know and love to have a similarity of characters that you see in Street Fighter 2. So this is definitely an influential but also the best of the best fighting games ever, and I think it's one of the greatest to ever do it. It definitely added more mechanics along the way as it was becoming different versions of it. That's why obviously when you see different versions, it literally stands out and it makes it more fun. So yeah, fantastic game. Go. I don't know how you had never played it if you've never seen Street Fighter 2 before, but please go check it out. It's amazing. King of Fighters 13. This game as a whole is fantastic. I honestly think that this is a 2010 game that should be remembered as one of the best of the best. For sure this came out as King of Fighters 12, but wasn't really a proper story. It was like a dream match. I felt like it was testing the waters a little bit, but when King of Fighters 13 came out, it was a lot of fun. So much fun. I definitely played this game from when I first got it for Christmas, and honestly, the way they've really made this game enjoyable. The online stuff unfortunately has its flaws, but in terms of the story, in terms of the artwork, in terms of the special moves, like the Neo Max is greatly animated, and I think it's a lot of fun. They've done a lot to it. It's an amazing game, and I really love it to this day. So yeah, penultimate game for me is Tekken 5. Tekken 5 is one of the comebacks and one of the greatest games that ever have been produced, because after the flaws of Tekken 4, which I mean Tekken 4 is still a good game in my opinion, I don't care what anyone else says, but for Tekken 5 it definitely brought back all the stops that have had problems with it previously. Obviously they weren't playing around with some of the characters in this game. There were different different move sets for some of the characters that we remembered. New characters like Raven, new characters like Raven, Asuka, and Feng Wei definitely hold all the slots for me. Hence why I still think to this day that I loved playing Asuka so much, because Asuka is definitely is one of the characters that was at first a frauded Jun Kazama, but I loved her moves. I loved the Kazama fighting style. But again, a lot of the people that are in the game have been great. I really loved how they brought back some of the things that made Tekken, which obviously they tried to make Tekken 4 more realistic. But with Tekken 5, they brought back what made Tekken 5 a reminiscent of Tekken Tag and Tekken 3, obviously being the best games ever played. And honestly, I just think that this was... I have Virtua Fighter 5. I think this game really holds its own and tries to definitely take its crown back in terms of trying to make a statement about what should be the most respected 3D fighting game ever, and why it is the best of the best. I think the graphic differences between Virtua Fighter 4 and 5 is insane to me. Of course, they've added some characters in the game as well that have really been a fun play, but personally, I think that this is one of my favorite Virtua Fighter games ever. They've made so many things about this that I thought that when they included some new characters and some of the older ones from previous Virtua Fighter 3, obviously, but I definitely think Virtua Fighter 5 is one of the best fighting games of all time. Wouldn't have been here without any of the games that have been so inspired by Virtua Fighter. That Virtua Fighter 5 is literally making a statement, talking about how they're here to stay and when they're not going anywhere. I just hope that in the next Virtua Fighter game, which is coming out soon, I hope that we get more of the news about the fighting games, and also reminiscent of some new characters from the Sega franchise, which I wish they added in the previous game, but I think this is why it's the best fighting game ever. And that, my friends, is my top and best fighting games of all time. Let me know what you guys think of the list. Is there any other games that I should include on the list that I've missed out? Let me know. Obviously, if I remember some of the stuff that you guys have told me about the video games that I remember playing, then I will hold my hands up and say sorry for not putting them in the list, but I'm human, so that's all I gotta say. So yeah, cheers guys.